You're welcome. But yeah, I will do that. And except I don't know if I'll be able to, take your advice on not doing 20 because that's
If
my
you do
goal.
20, if you do 20 because that's your own personal goal, I'm not going to be mad at you. Just know that it's not required anymore.
Because I have two other characters. I have the strong man from the circus who's going to be the girl's protector, and then I have Mateague, the bad guy. And I already have done one thumbnail of him, but I would really like to do it because I really, really, really want to get my story published. Super bad.
I believe in you.
Well, I'm glad because I have a hard time believing in myself. I got to admit.
Well, it's just about getting one step in front of the other. So
what are you making now?
Well, I'm just like segueing into the Q&A because I do want to do the Q&A, and we're at the tail end of the class.
Right. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, I have this problem that I talk too much. I was like, yeah, I'll get through it. I know I will. I'll say it to the class, and then I'm like giving advice left and right and trying to help everyone out. Well, I should just admit defeat that I'm never going to be able to get advice done in a timely manner. Because I've tried putting a timer even on myself, and I realize it's pointless because sometimes people have more questions and more concerns about their work, and I need to like just answer them, But with that said,
I'm chatty when I get going, so
yeah,
I'm zipping it.
Yeah, with that said, let's do a Q&A. Let's jump right into it. So if you guys have questions, absolutely, begin to ask them right now, friends.
Can I go?
Yeah. Go for it.
So I'm trying to cut this down as short as possible as a question, but I basically come from a non-art background. So by that, I mean, I'm 28 years old, and unlike a lot of people that I kind of see online, I didn't go art school. And as a matter of fact, my career right now has nothing to do with art, and I really desperately want to escape it.
Same here, Heidi. Same here.
What is your career?
Oh, really?
Let me ask
you.
I'm a data analyst for the railway in my country. But
what's wrong with data? How dare you?
No, there's nothing wrong with data. There's nothing wrong with data, but I hate it.
What's wrong with you?
I like data, but I don't like this data. I'm just, it's kind of like crushes my soul, if you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying.
So,
absolutely know what you're saying.
I want to go into the field that you're in or something similar, and because I didn't go to school, and also because I have severe social anxiety, I don't know any other artists. I don't have any reference point of like, how do I get into this? Obviously I've watched your videos and other artists, and the idea is have a good portfolio and control.
How did you even run into my stuff? You're doing the railway analysis, and then you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to type in Robotpencil.
Because
I like robots and pencils.
I like art in my spare time. So I do my art stuff in the spare time, and I've known of your stuff for a while. But I'd never actually, it was actually your videos on YouTube that made me want to do your mentorship. You post those Q&As, and I was like, oh my God, is posting these here for free? Because I've learned so much on them already.
Perfect.
And I thought like, okay, imagine if I paid and actually spoke to you directly, what could I learn then? So that's kind of how I got to you.
Okay, great.
But yeah, my what I'm trying to say is I have no reference point. I have no connections. I kind of decided during this pandemic, while I'm working from home, that I wanted to do art for a living. But obviously going to events and stuff, I'm limited to online events, which is, it's just not the same, right?
It definitely isn't, no.
So I'm like, if you go to school, maybe you get some connections through that, or you get like some friends and you get to meet other artists. I just don't have any of that. So I try to join Discord channels. I joined this mentorship also partly because of that, because I'm trying my hardest to, like push myself to interact with people. But, do you have any advice for someone who's like decided to do a 180 on their career and is working on their portfolio and is working on trying to be as social as possible, but kind of feels a bit disheartened sometimes because I don't know, sometimes it feels like I'm not really getting anywhere?
Yeah. So my advice is not going to be as inspiring or like eye-opening as you probably would suspect. It is, you're already doing what you're doing to get to where you need to go. So you're taking all the right measures. You said you to join Discord. That's exactly what I would have done. You said you've taken a class to meet new people. That's what I would have done. You said you can join online events, even though it's not the same, you probably will still do it because it's what's available. You're doing everything you need to do, and you just can't stop doing that. Okay. And the disheartening thing, I want to speak more to that because I think that's more of an issue than whether like, are you doing the right thing? Okay. So I think you are. So that's off the things to do. Because the disheartening thing is the real problem. Because if you start to think that what you're doing is not working because of something as silly as impatience, right? Then you are certain to not get into this industry. Does this make sense? You are almost guaranteed to fail, right? The problem that you're dealing with now is totally a reasonable problem. You're just naive. That's absolutely fair. Why would you know what it's like to work in industry and get a job in industry? You have no idea. You haven't done it, right? Of course you don't know what the hell's going on, right? But if I was to ask, or here's a better way of thinking about this. If you were to tell yourself, like what advice you would need to do, like what would you need to do to make this happen, right? Like if you had a friend that wanted to be a concept artist, okay? And you don't know anything about concept artists. Let's actually make it a little bit more reasonable. Like, let's say your friend wants to be astrophysicist, okay? And you know nothing about astrophysics, like at that level, right? How to get into it, all that stuff, okay? And your friend's about to quit because they don't feel like they're making any progress. What's the kind of advice would you give that person? You know? Like, what would you tell that person? Would you tell them, yep, you're right. It's fucking stupid. Don't do it. Right? Probably not, right? You'd probably be like, no, come on, you can do it. Like, let's look into stuff together. Like, I'm sure you're doing fine. Like, you just got to keep at it, you know, like, don't give up, you know, like, what are like some of the big problems you're running into? You'd probably be sympathetic and try to like emotionally support this individual, even if it is a real challenge for that person to overcome these things, right? It will become a little bit of a lifetime movie moment, right? That would be between you and your friend. Okay. Yeah. So why am I kind of posturing this, you know, hypothetical? Well, I'm saying, why would you do that for a friend, but not for yourself? You know, like, why are you so ready to shoot yourself down? You know what I mean? And that kind of like self-deprecating attitude creates negative momentum. Okay. And I mentioned this many times in the class, right? That there's nothing wrong with feeling bad about what you've done today, right? Like, you don't like what you've done, you know? That is totally reasonable. And there's nothing wrong with having these negative feelings about your specific progress, okay? But this kind of like demoralizing attitude, like this attitude of like, because I feel bad today, that just means I'm just bad in general, or I'm doing everything wrong in general, and I'm never going to make, like, taking it to the extreme, you know, conclusion that's the thing that I usually push back on, right? That's crazy. That is unreasonable, you know? Saying, hey, you know, today I just feel like I didn't paint too good. That happens, man, right? Some days I put too much salt in my, you know, beans and rice, and it's fucking salty. It doesn't mean that every time I make my beans and rice, it's always super salty. It happened to me the other day. And I was like, oh man, I gotta eat it though. I can't throw this away. It was one of those things where I was like pouring it in and just wasn't coming out, and then just like flooded it. But does that mean I'm going to stop eating for the rest of my life because of this one bad experience? I'm going to stop eating beans and rice forever and always? That's crazy, So to have this kind of sense of like, today I failed, so that means I will always be a failure is unreasonable. You wouldn't tell that to your best of friends, right? If they made mistakes, why are you telling that to yourself? Do you see kind of where I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And so I think this is really good advice for someone in your position, because it really gets you out of this mindset of like, you're doing stuff wrong. You are doing everything fine. Just stop being so negative about whether you are doing it right. Okay. Now that I've kind of addressed that more directly, and I did say that I've rewarded you to say like, you are doing things right. You are making the right steps, but there are other things. So I'm going to talk about what those could be. Some things that are within your control is quality of work. So if you improve the quality of your work and you share it often, that alone is how you can get good jobs. There was a time when that was not true. Okay. But the internet now exists. Social media now exists. All you just need is that one image that just fucking takes the cake, and then bam, your whole career will be launched right in front of your eyes, almost instantaneously. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just true. If you have work that is outstanding and you just share it often, people will find you. Okay. I had a person I met at Lightbox one year, and he showed me his work, and he was like, I don't know why I can't get a job. And I said, well, how often do you share your work? And he's like, well, not really that often. And I checked his Instagram, and he was right. Like the last thing he shared was like months ago, And I said, that's why nobody knows you exist. It's like you built this desert island with amazing artwork that only people who happen to be passing by will ever see. Like I have to be looking for this island to find you, where other people like myself included who post frequently, why would anyone need to look for you if they can find me easily? Right. And he's just like, oh man, I think you're right. And so he started posting very often. I think he did daily for a whole month. He got a job, because when I looked at his stuff, I was like, it's not that you're bad. I think you're right. I think your intuition's like, why am I not getting a job? Like that insecurity is actually justified because you have good work, right?
Was he searching for jobs while he was doing that, or did someone reach out to him?
No, someone reached out to him. They found him on Instagram. They're like, hey, are you looking for work? You said it yourself about my class. You saw my video, right? You saw the quality from that. You decided to engage in this, and now you're taking my course. That's literally how marketing works. I put content out there so that people know that it exists. You found it. You're like, holy shit, this exists, right? Whether you wanted to engage and purchase it, that's the beauty of free marketing or YouTube marketing. That metric is one of my favorite ways. It allows me to put out free content, right? As well as, getting new people to potentially make more of that content, because they're like, I want to be a part of this class because I want to get more than just these free videos. I want to see if I can get more insight. And like you said, talk to him directly,
Mm-hmm.
And all I got to do is just follow through with that promise. And we're in business, right? It's a win-win all around, right? And for me, every time I post new artwork, I get more followers. Every time I post more artwork, I get more tutorials sold. Every time I post new artwork, I get more people to know about my mentorship, to find my YouTube videos, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It is a no-brainer. I think most people know this. They just, when they don't see the result immediately, like it doesn't feel like they won the lottery kind of a thing, they feel really sad. And I'm telling you, that's foolish. I've been doing this for a long time. I've earned my fan base and my audience, right? The kind of work that I do is more niche. So the audience that I've earned is more substantial, like meaning more meaningful. Like I know who they are. The people that I'm marketing to, for instance, they're people like me, artists who want to get good, you know? And there's other people who market differently. They're like, I'm just going to make the most poppy, most flashy type of artwork that's clearly popular and people are going to find me immediately and I'm going to have a huge amount of followers. And then I'm only going to market to that very small subset of people who happen to also like to learn from that. I have friends that are like that, you know, and then I'm going to market to another group of people who just want to buy merch from you, you know, but it's just by pure numbers. You know, it's all numbers for that individual. For me, it's less about the numbers. It's about the quality of fans. But that's why posting artwork often allowed me to find that group of fans. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I post on, well, I try to post on Instagram at least a couple of times a week.
That's good.
But when you posted, did you post on several platforms? Because I find it quite hard to maintain more than one platform because of the algorithms.
I think starting with just one or two is fine. Like if you pick Instagram and Facebook or something, like those are pretty reasonable, you know, interchangeable. I know like Instagram allows you to post on several too. So you just posting on one allows you to post on Twitter and Facebook at the same time. So you can be smart about that, you know? Mm-hmm. But you're right. It's less about like, should you do all this like crazy marketing strategy? You're just one person. I agree with you. So what you should do, and that's how I do it. I don't do it either like that, you know? What I usually recommend people do is just pick a thing and just be consistent. Do it for years. Okay. Because two things is going to happen. You're going to be building your audience, you know, slowly but surely. But you're also keeping yourself accountable, which will help you improve your work, you know, because when you're posting stuff frequently, there always is an intuition of like, to make it a little bit better or work on getting better. And as you post more and more often, even if that was not your intuitive nature, just the process of painting more often is going to get you better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And at some point, there's going to be a turning of events where people are like, who the heck is this? You know? And it starts to cascade and explode faster than you would anticipate. When I did this, I did not know that this was a good strategy. I just posted because I was trying to keep myself accountable. That's it. I was not thinking that I was going to build an audience. I just posted because I liked to have validation of my progress, right? When people say nice things about my progress, it was nice enough for me, you know? And then as a consequence of that, I grew a large fan base, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's a really good strategy. It's a safe strategy, especially for someone who's not all about that social interaction. You just stay completely silent on social media. You just show your work and step away. And maybe you can respond to some comments that are nice, you know, from time to time.
I am trying. I'm like trying to, what do you call it? Fake it till you make it. I'm like trying to force the social.
Yeah, you don't have to force it. Just do as much as you feel is necessary. I do think that you should travel and go to these events once they open up again, because this community you'll find is very much like you as well, and that alone gets everybody more comfortable. You know, like most people are not like me. I'm very, 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 very outspoken. You know, and I am easy to make friends with. You know, I'm very talkative. I remember I was talking to my neighbor because we go to the dog park usually every morning, and I was telling her how me and my family plan on moving, and we're moving to a different country potentially, and how I'm more nervous for my wife, even though it's a Spanish-speaking country, and she speaks Spanish, fluent Spanish, and I was like, not because of that, because she has a hard time making new friends, you know, she doesn't like to do it, and I was joking with my neighbors, like, I feel like even though I don't speak Spanish, I'll probably have more friends than her still, you know, just because that's the kind of person I am. And she was like, yeah, that's true. And because all my neighbors here, I'm like good friends with, and especially all the neighbors with dogs now, because I wanted to make friends with dogs. So my dog would have friends, you know?
Oh.
And so like, I know, like I've been collecting dog owners like Pokemon. You know, so like I see somebody with a cute dog, I'm like, hey, can they say hi? And then we just start talking, you know, and then I get their phone number, and then we go to dog parks and hang out, you know. And I know a lot of people just don't do that, Okay. Let alone artists. Okay. Artists are not this type of individual. The majority of them aren't. Okay. So do not feel, you will find that these are your people. Okay.
Yeah.
And that when people discover that, they're like, they love it even more, the community. Okay. But lately the community's been getting pissed at one another for a lot of different reasons that I don't agree with. But I think that's because of COVID. I think everyone's just cabin fevered and just stressing out even more so. Anyway.
I'm gonna guess that one of those reasons is you were maybe alluding to is NFT.
Yeah, people hate.
Yeah.
People hate everything, man. It's so crazy. And I actually agree with a lot of like just kind of the negative aspects of cryptocurrency in general. But I just thought it was interesting. My personal opinion on this, I thought it was very interesting that people starting like why does it start here? Like why don't we just take it to its logical conclusion that a lot of us digital artists are probably contributing to the problem more than we want to admit. In general, it was like the environmental aspects of it, right? Like I have a super powered computer. I upgrade my computer and my devices pretty frequently. That is all a negative consequence to the environment. The fact that my career alone contributes to a lot of it, which is entertainment, the entertainment industry in general. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why stop there? Why are we getting mad at digital artists that are actually finding a way to find some sustainability with their original work? It's very revealing in my opinion, because I was talking to one of my friends. She was really angry. She's like, why are you doing some of this? I was like, what? And I told her, I was like, listen, if there like, she was like, there's like this and that and that and this. Is like, if there's a better alternative, I'm all about it. Like you're not telling me that like I'm not like all about like let's burn our world down, but you're also like talking to me from somebody who works for one of the most major film industry companies. Like she works for like one of the biggest studios in the world, who literally dumps billions of dollars into electronics and data storage. Right? You're all about data. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, because they have a streaming service, that you think that's free energy? Where you think that energy's coming from, homie? And she's like, well, that's different. And I was like, no, man, it's all the same. Like, if your argument is that humans in general were just fucking kind of like a bane to this universe, to this world that we've created, that I can get behind, right? Like, why stop there, It's like, just in general, we are not sustainable species. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like the NFT stuff was really, really interesting to see how a lot of artists turned on one another for very superficial and very realistic stuff at the same time. But I do think that some good conversations came out of it though, as well. I'm not opposed to having my opinion change on certain things. I think that's important for growth, but I don't like the velocity of aggression. If that makes sense. That was coming towards people.
Pretty like animalistic rage on my Twitter feed recently.
Yeah, it's a little like that. Just does not work. I remember when I would argue with people about like approaching one another when it came to like stuff like racism, and they would call other people racists. And I tell them, I was like, do you realize that that's not a strategy? Like, what's your goal here? Do you want to remove racism or do you want to keep it? Because if you want to help remove racism, calling people racist is just as effective as calling people that are, let's say, unhealthily overweight, fat.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything, In fact, if anything, it makes that person usually double down, right? It's actually doing the opposite of what you wanted. If you look at a lot of the research out there when it comes to people who actually reform KKK members, for instance, who are genuinely racist, right? They do it from the inside out, right? They go and find why these people are acting the way they do, like what made them turn this way. And it's usually some sort of community-driven reason, And being called racist is not one of those strategies that they employ. You're just straight racist. Now they find the inner person and then get them out that way, you know? Not this like full on, we gotta like murder you because you're a bad person. When I think if those people were in the same circumstance, they might have made the same actions, you know? But anyway, community aside from these little hiccups, I think is amazing. So don't take that as a pulse of what this community is like. It really isn't. Yeah. Social media only highlights the worst of us, and not just in this industry, in most industries. Any other questions? I'll take on 2 more and then I got to get out of here. Hang out the kids.
I have a short one, maybe a stupid one. I've never done the grayscale to color method like you do with a color mode thing. Well, I tried it once, but it was a mess. Okay. Do you have like a link to one of your videos or something where you explain it? Or I didn't find a tutorial where you do it, but maybe you.
I do have one in the legacy videos. I forget exactly which one it's called, but I do go from black and white to color. Okay. But what I usually do is I just use a color layer. And then I do it that way. That's
okay. No, but then I can just check it there. Then don't waste more time.
That's all good. Yeah, we'll pretend that was never asked though. So that way the 2 questions are still available for you.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not a stupid question though.
I got one.
Go for it.
After you got your first job in the industry, the years passed, and when did you get frequently like the income of opportunities? When did it start being a frequent thing?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So like my first big studio job was probably like 2 years after I began my journey, meaning that like 2007, I think I decided to become a concept artist. And then 2009, I got like my first big job, I think, which was at Sony Santa Monica. I'm not sure if I get the timeline right, but I think that's about right. And then after that, I was able to kind of secure my job forever and always. And the reason why this is true is because of a certain event that happened. So before that, I did have like a small studio job. It wasn't that big of a job. And I was working for this guy in this company, and it was great. It was a great experience, but I was, working for them and I was just doing it as like a job. There was a time in my life where I didn't really care so much about becoming this well-known artist who is now known as Anthony Jones, right? And Robotpencil amongst, popular art circles. It was very simple. It just started off with me just wanting to get a job, and I had one, and I found one, but I didn't really like it, but it was a job and I was doing art stuff, so it was cool. And then I met my wife and we decided to move in together, and the day or like the month before the day we were going to move in, that studio shut down. And so now I was out of luck. I didn't have a job. I didn't have, a way to secure our deposit now. And it was like a lot of stuff happened. And then I remember going home, sitting in my bed and thinking to myself, all right, I think for 2 hours, I was like really depressed. But then after that, I was like, okay, I need to get like my shit together. I need to get a job quick. I need to make enough money to get this secured. And I need to build a new portfolio so I can get a better job and just maintain that. And I worked really hard to do that for about 2 months. And I took some freelance that my old boss felt bad about, like letting us all go. He found us some work. The game industry tends to do that. Actually, it's pretty good about doing that. When people lose their jobs like this, they try to reach out and help. And with that allowed me to sustain some income to ultimately land the job that I got at Sony Santa Monica. But at that time, I was like really going for it, and really devoted. And when I had that job for Sony Santa Monica, the one thing I told myself was, even though this is like a good job and a comfortable one, never am I going to sit still on my portfolio ever again. My portfolio should be constantly and consistently updated, because when I lost that job, I didn't really have anything. I had to I didn't like anything I did. I had to rebuild my whole portfolio pretty much from scratch. And that from that day on, that's kind of where I'm at today. So now I'm in a position where I have a lot of notoriety. I have jobs that come in pretty frequently, every day or every other day, from small jobs, and then some big jobs at least once or twice a month. So there is no fear in that regard. And in terms of my own self-employment, I can always just teach full-time too. These classes sell out every time. My tutorials, if I make new tutorials, they sell quick. And so there is a lot of ways for me to make money. In fact, me and my family plan to move to a different country I mentioned earlier. And one of these countries is, a very small country. And that's part of the deal. I don't want to, I kind of over this American style lifestyle. I don't think it's what I am. I just happen to be born here. I'm very grateful for the access to certain things, like living in Southern California gave me access to a lot of these things. But as I've been teaching for many years, I realized, like, for instance, you yourself are not from America, but yet you are getting some really good education. I realized that this was a thing that was unique to America at some point, but it's starting not to be. And we're kind of taking it for granted, our own country, and other nations aren't. And they're way more grateful for these types of things, right? And I'm like, I want to kind of be around these types of individuals more so than anything. And I'm not sure if you pay attention to American news too. Like, I'm half Black, half Korean, and my wife is from Nicaragua, so she's from Central America. My country tends to there's this case called George Floyd, who was a Black man who got killed by a cop.
Yeah.
And they're going through a court right now. And it's still there's still people who are just kind of well, I don't know, he might have deserved it. And it's just all right, cool, dude. I don't subscribe to that mentality. I don't really know why my country, there's still people that, a large group of people who think this way, not just a small subset of minority individuals, a large. And then now people are starting to punch Asian folks because, they feel like it's cool. And that's so that's my dad and it's my mom that could be victims of these things, right? And then we're putting people who are coming from the southern border in cages like children. My wife, if she came during this time, she would be put in a cage. You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of okay, so my country clearly doesn't really like me, And then I also think about it I'm paying a lot in taxes. I'm paying a lot into this community, this society, right? And I still have medical bills that are $3,000. We just got a bill for $700 for my son because we went to take him to get an x-ray because he was limping. And they sent us a $700 bill just to get the x-ray. And I'm at this point of my life where I'm just kind of why? Why am I paying so much, subscribing to this culture, the societal thinking, right? When I could just leave. I could generally leave. People always say, if you don't like it, leave. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I don't like it. And so I'm in this boat of I have a career that really, it doesn't I can teach you right now from anywhere in the world as long as I have internet upload speeds that are greater than 10. And that is most of the world now, right? At least a modern world. You know what I mean? I could teach my class from your room, where you're at right now. Totally fine. Shouldn't be a big deal. You know what I mean? And this specific kind of luxury, I would say, happened in the last 4 or 5 years. Okay. And it was because not only was I already pretty stable in my career, I wanted to be even double secure. Okay. And now this is triple security. I'm okay, I'm going to move to a much more affordable place, live a much simpler life, not spend money on luxury and convenience. I spend thousands of dollars on Amazon products because it's so convenient. It's so easy to do so. And I don't even use half of the stuff that I fucking get. And I'm if I don't even have access to this stuff, then I won't even waste my time thinking about it. Right.
Yeah.
I'll just have less things to worry about and I can just get to what I care about, which is making cool art and teaching people how to make cool art, right? So I'm like going even a step further to sustainable lifestyle, right? In fact, for many of my international students, if you can make a decent living working for American companies from your country, then don't fucking leave your country, dude. There's nothing that great about our country.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Our currency here is
yeah. I was never thinking about that. I just want those jobs.
Oh yeah.
And I agree. You should take those jobs. I had a student from Serbia, and he was like, I was telling him how much I pay in rent. I pay like about almost $4,000 in rent, right? I don't even own a home
That's
yet.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Is
money.
that
here.
maybe Milan?
Huh?
Milan from Serbia?
Yeah. No, there's a different student from Serbia.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I did tell Milan the same thing. I have all my Serbian bastards. Yeah, that's what I call you guys.
Yeah.
I told him the same thing too, because he's like, I feel like I gotta go to the States. And I was like, why? You're already working for American companies.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had another Serbian student, and we were talking about this, and I told him like, yeah, I spent about $4,000 in rent, and he was just like, if you spent that much money here in Serbia,
Oh,
you'd
yeah.
live like you would own Serbia. You'd probably be the president. I was like, I know he was exaggerating, but I understood the exaggeration. He's like, my rent's like hundreds of dollars, and it's a decent home. And it's like, if you wanted to live decently, yeah, he's like, you could probably spend like $600 or $700 and live very decently, here in Serbia.
Wow.
And I said,
Actually, so it depends how much you spend.
yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah, but like the point is even if we took that to $1,500 a month,
Oh my
US
God,
dollars.
That's too much. That's too much.
Yeah. For us in Southern California, that is, you can barely afford
Jeez.
a decent 2-bedroom apartment for that much, right? You would have to, if you want to spend that much and have an affordable lifestyle, you would have to live in places like where my friends live right now, specifically in California, which is usually a lower income area, where there's not a lot of opportunities. I left those places. I used to live in there, to have more access to better opportunities. But now I'm like looking back, and these people are doing fine. They like love their simple life. And I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't have. It's a different story for a different time. I'll explain more about that. But yeah, I would say a few years in, I was able to build some sustainable career path with the mentality of always updating my portfolio. And then towards the tail end, the last 5 years of my career, which would probably be like 7 years in, I decided to become more sustainable through, creating courses, online platform, doing freelance still. And then my next move, the one I'm doing currently, is to just leave my country in general and just live a simple life where I can spend 2 to 3 hours of my day doing real work, like teaching a class or doing some freelance, and then spend the rest of my time hanging out with my family, working on personal projects, and just live a modest and frugal life, like where we're moving to. If I spend what I'm spending now, it would be absolutely a mansion.
Oh yeah.
But my wife was like, but that defeats the purpose. We're not going to live a bigger life. We actually kind of already have it here, even though it's not like as glamorous as our neighbors who have $1 million homes. It's like, but we kind of live a glamorous life already with what we have access to, it just doesn't feel that way comparatively, but to other countries, it is very much, I'm a very simple dude, man. I don't need a lot. I've only been playing catch up, dude. That's why I've been working so hard. I'm trying to like pay off all these debts and bills, you know what I mean? And it's just come to the point where I'm like, fucking, what am I doing here, dude? And so, yeah, I'm moving down south. I'm moving down to the Central America because why not? And my friends are like, well, isn't it like not safe? And like, isn't there like tons of crime? I'm like, yeah, sure, but there's also tons of crime in like lower income areas in America. Like, what's the difference? You just find ways around those places. And even still, that's a little bit racist to just assume that there's like so bad, every aspect of that country. Like, I'm sure some parts are very bad, like they promote they are, But I also don't think it's nearly as bad because I've traveled the world quite a bit, and places where people like I went to Brazil, and we went to Curitiba, and it was great. And my friend was like, "Yeah, people always have these ideas of what this country's about, and it's nothing like it."
Wow. I love here.
Yeah, I love Brazil, man. It was great. I went to Colombia, same thing. Like the whole time, they're like, "Yeah, people just think we're still like a drug cartel, like the whole country." He's like, "That was a thing. That actually was a problem in their country that existed." But our country had our own shit. We had the Civil War. We had the Civil Rights Movement. Like, why are we making the American Revolution? Why are we making it seem like no other country can be can't have imperfections? Like we are the only ones that are essentially perfect, which is just not true. You know, I just been to too many countries to just know that that's not true, right? And I lived in Korea for 2 years, and that's kind of one of the biggest things that made me realize, like, no, other countries are just different, and they have their own problems. And yeah, my friends are just like one of them has never left the country ever, you know. So it's just completely he can't wrap his mind around that other countries could be better than America in different ways. Right? Like he thinks that our country is just better at every single thing. It's like, nah, dude, there's some things that we're pretty good at that you can't deny. But other things we're pretty bad at. And it's really depressing that we're doing little to nothing about it, it seems like, you know. And so that is my full answer to that question of like when and how. But if you maintain a consistent flow of a portfolio, you will create that sustainability. And it's very intuitive. This is very intuitive. If you don't do anything and you stay still, the world's going to move without you. Does that make sense? And so you got to just move with it. You know, if you see something happen, it's worth taking that challenge and that gamble to see how that may play out. But try to be safe about it. I've had some real failures in my career, but I've always focused on what I believe to be true about my personality to help me get through it. You know? But yeah, hope that helps.
Okay, yeah,
one
thanks,
last question. If anybody's got it.
Hey,
doesn't have to be the perfect one. Yeah, here you go. Who is this?
This is Elliot. Do you
What's
have
up,
any
Elliot?
examples of the portfolio that got you the job at Sony Santa Monica?
Yeah, actually, if it's like old school DeviantArt stuff. But I don't know if it's good reference.
Yeah.
Because this is stuff that this is like almost a decade ago. Mm-hmm. So to compare and contrast now would be a mistake because their standards have also changed. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not like what I did then would get me a job now.
Well, I guess I could change the question kind of in how has the industry Okay.
I'm almost there. I'm trying to find it. For you. Like, yeah, here you go. This is where it's starting to get some classic Anthony Jones. And then this is what the artist I did to get the job.
Dude, sick.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's awesome.
But it's not like what I can do now. And it's not even what I think they would want to hire nowadays. Mm-hmm. I think this helped me get the job. They saw this and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it did help that like I was highly influenced by the artists that worked there, Charlie Wen and Ryan Meinerding. They taught me a lot about, like by just watching their works, taught me a lot about what I can do to improve. But yeah, see, I was like doing environments, thinking that's what I needed to do. I remember doing this. This is like a ZBrush sculpt that I painted over. Uh-huh. But yeah, how the tides have turned.
Yeah, so like
so good nowadays.
How has the prerequisites that like these bigger studios, how has that changed since in the last decade? Like from when you got a job to now?
I don't think anything's changed. It's just that there's just more quality work.
Okay.
Like they're always still looking for the best and greatest. Okay. Like that hasn't changed. It's just that there's more people who do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Where I was probably amongst very few. So what I usually tell people is that you got to do one of two things, or you can do both. You got to either be at the same quality level as some of these badass people, right? So you can even be in league, because there's plenty of jobs actually. It's just there's just not a lot of quality images or quality people, because all those people I mentioned are also working usually, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, there's more of it. So if you're not even close to being at a high quality, it's really hard for them to want to hire you. And then the second thing is just to have something that's different than what everyone else is doing. Okay. So it could be of high quality, but I also think having like some unique aspect of it. So when you look at ArtStation and you just see kind of a lot of the same,
Mhm.
it's hard for an employer to kind of figure out which is who's who. But like I said, once you start to click on stuff that's a little bit more someone's individual, I love this guy's stuff. Then it's like easier. Oh, I don't know who this is. This person's awesome. Thank you for following my work. Now I'm following you back, bro. But like if I was to like investigate further, this person probably already works.
Yeah.
I would reach out to them if I was like hiring and seeing, and they might be open to take the job offer. But and as someone who has been in the position of trying to hire people, it is very much the case that a lot of people are not available.
Mhm.
Like I would send like shit like seven. I would find like 7 to 8 people to interview that are really good, and then like only 3 of them are available for work, and then out of those 3, one of them is the closest to what we'd want,
Mhm.
and the other 2 are okay, but maybe we're gonna pass.
Yeah.
It's very rare to be like, this person is obviously perfect in every single way, like in terms of the quality that we want, the availability that we need, and the alignment with our culture, right?
Yeah.
So you just need to get your foot in the door. And so you need to have something that will get you there. So I think you're doing that, though. You have the kind of work that I would highly think that could do that. This guy or gal is amazing. The fuck, dude? what the hell, dude? But this is like the kind of reaction you would want from like a recruiter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, who the hell? Like I'm saving all of these, because this one especially, hold on, where was it? This one, man. Oh man. I'm gonna steal this. I'm working on my style for my game right now. I'm like, it's gonna fucking copy and paste what you did there, dude. No one will know. Your measly 9,000 followers, no one will ever know. People will think that you stole my work. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna jack it 100%. Only 95%.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, this, instead of an axe, I'm gonna make it a mace, but everything else is gonna be the same. These are so good. Yeah. Anyway, that's the kind of reaction you want when you just only have, and that's hard to do, but it's within reach.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's within reach. I promise you. And you want to, like, again, like when you see like there's these environments that are just always just like this ancient environments, it's just very standard. I see this a lot, so I'm not that interested in it,
Mhm.
But if I was to yeah, here you go. This to me feels a little bit more interesting, and it looks like it's in motion. The fuck. I'll be more interested in reaching out to this artist
Wow.
and being like, are you available for work?
Yeah.
And I think I actually did reach out to this artist. We were looking for environment artists, and I think I did reach out to him, and he was not available for work at the time. I don't know if it's still true. Nice long locks of hair and beard too. Looks like a Greek god. All right. Hopefully that helps you out.
Yeah. No. Thank you.
All right. I got to get out of here, guys. I went well over the 1:30 mark that I told my daughter. And I told my wife that I was trying to get only done at an earlier time? And she's like, yeah, like 2 o'clock. And I was like, no, I'm gonna try it. I'm really gonna try it this time. My wife knows me way too well. She's like, okay. She's like, I'm gonna take the kids out and all that stuff. And when you're done, you can hang out with them. See, I've already made strides to prevent this from happening. So my next classes, what I've done is I've only taken on 6 students. This time around, I took on like I think it was 15. And so what I've done is I just spread the class out so that I can actually finish in like 2 hours or 90 minutes. If I have like 6 students, because when I have like 15, like I have to almost spend 3 to 4 hours easily every time. This is impossible. And I think this is the only real deterrent is just have less people to talk to. And I will be able to, even if I talk my head off, I will still be able to get through it. I'm already revising the class again. Even after that, I was like, maybe I should also have just like one day where it's just full Q&A. That's all it is. Maybe every other week. But I'm still just organizing that because right now I had it where I was meeting twice a week, my original class. But the problem was that I found that it was too expensive of a class. Like, even though it's still pretty approachable, I was trying to find a way to make it so it's more accessible to people. I don't want my class to be only available to the uber rich or the somewhat well off. You know, I'm not to say you guys are all super rich, but you get what I'm saying. Some people just can't. Like, someone messaged me on Instagram, it's like, how much is your class? And even the 345, they're like, oh, it's way expensive. And I was like, I know, but it doesn't make any sense if I make it any cheaper. Like, it just won't make sense for me until I move to Central America. Then maybe I can make it super cheap. You know, but till then, we got the fucking $4,000 rent and these hundreds of dollars of medical bills to pay for. So
that's fun. That's fun.
So it's a circumstantial thing. I would rather just be able to teach for free if I could. But anyway, gotta go, guys. I appreciate you all. Have a great one, and have a great rest of your weekend. Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, man.
Hey guys.
Bye,
Bye.
Hey, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to watch more in the future. If you like the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you like this content, you can go to my website, robotpencil.net, where you can find mentorships, tutorials, and a Patreon to get more exclusive content. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next videos.